welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. Union Berlin away. We all knew what we were going to expect. They had a lot to play for. Let's be honest. Union Berlin has been they have been in Europe for the last 3 or 4 seasons in a row. So we all know, right? We have discussed it countless times that what they have done over the years is a massive testament to where they keep their ideals, where they keep their mentality. Rewind back 10 years, they were in the fourth or fifth tier of German football. So we always knew it's going to be a tough ask to go there and absolutely dominate a game, or get a result in the vein of a 3-0, or a 2-0, for the matter. But yeah, man, we had to show some character. We had to show some fight. We had to really dig deep to find something from the game. To be honest, because Union Berlin was pushing from the minute one, from the get go. Kepa was under pressure. Our backline was like usual, trying to find their feet. But all in all, like apart from a couple of gripes, I think like we got the job done. Wasn't pretty, wasn't exactly easy on the eye, but yeah, man. Sometimes we just need to see it over the line, and we did just that. Before further ado, welcome my esteemed co-hosts, and of course a debut on the panel for Mus, our social media guy. You could call him that, but he is the guy who does all the stuff in the background, especially regarding graphics for the page, for Twitter and all that. But yeah, man, welcome finally on the podcast, bro. It's been a long time coming. Initial thoughts, Mus?
Yeah, no, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity as well. But yeah, game went pretty. The first half was pretty dead overall. Second half, again, it was just like if you see the results from past 10, 15 games, most of the goals that we do score end up being in the second half anyway. So expecting more from the team in the last half an hour. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, 3 goals, more chances. I think first 20 minutes or 25 minutes, Berlin barely had the ball.
Speak a little louder, bro. Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, Berlin barely had the ball for first 25, 30 minutes in the first half. So yeah, I think overall we shouldn't have taken put some of the players on, but I guess that's the Ancelotti ball we expect.
There you go. Shots fired already. But yeah, man, I completely agree. We could have fielded guys like Nico Paz, Gonzalo Garcia. But I guess keeping the record intact, going for the 6 out of 6 was something of an utmost priority. But Mo, man, talk to me. How has been the night so far for you? And I know results elsewhere would give you more joy than what we did on the night, but you should be happy about certain performances. 100%.
Man, I think to begin with, I would like to point out that Mus has already declared for Team Farouk, with shots fired against Ancelotti. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Fuck that. But yeah, since it's Mus, I let it slide.
I do want to make it clear that I don't hate Ancelotti, or like I respect him as a manager and everything he's done. But on occasions, not as much as Farouk, but on occasions, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like a kid couldn't make a better decision at points, and he's like, no, I'm gonna go for it. I'm like, cool. There's nothing I can do. I can just sit here and watch. So.
Yeah, I mean, Team Farouk is well represented here. With the I don't hate him, but yeah. So ignoring that, I kind of have to agree with you guys. I was like sorely disappointed by the fact that we played our starters today, because today meant nothing to us. But then I just now found out that with this win today, Ancelotti has overtaken Miguel Munoz as the Real Madrid manager with the most victories in Champions League football.
That's
So,
mad.
I guess it did mean something, and maybe Ancelotti was chasing that accolade. So congratulations to Carleto. He deserves it completely. Overall, I think about the game, like I mentioned to you already, I was busy, so I couldn't really catch the first half completely. I did manage to catch a few glimpses, and I did manage to watch this second half. Between throwing some peeks at the obviously the United Bayern game, but I felt the difference between the two teams. Looking at Union and us was the fact that we didn't really have the same intensity as them. Because for us, this game didn't really mean anything. For most of the starters, it was all about not getting injured, I guess, from the looks of it. So job done there. Got lucky, whatever. Because at the halftime, I was kind of worried about Fede because there were rumors that he stayed back in the dressing room, but Ancelotti in the post match said that it was they had decided already that they're going to play 45-45, and he's saying everybody else was fresh and whatever. So yeah, that's Ancelotti for you. So I guess we consider the goals because we lacked intensity. They had that desire to go for second balls and for the 50-50 chances that Real Madrid probably didn't have because because what the game in for it was absolutely nothing. The only disappointment, like you said, tonight, is the fact that players like Nico Paz and maybe Gonzalo Garcia could have gotten more minutes, but Gonzalo Garcia 0 minutes. Nico Paz came at the 89th. So yeah, we just got to take what we take. With the good comes the bad, and so they have some great characteristics, but then for them you have to tolerate the bad things. For me, the good thing was the fact that I think there have been some positive signs from what I watched with Fran today, because his movement, his positioning. When he was receiving passes and everything was like a bit improved. His crosses were decent, so I guess we just take that and move on.
I won't be too harsh on the kid, but passing under pressure still is an issue with Fran. I would just not keep my hopes up that he regains his spot in a left flank. But this was a game to throw on the people that needed some minutes under their belt. That was very evident in Ancelotti's selection as well. I hope Kepa is also along those veins, because some of his, I mean, not many, but one instance in the was it in the first half or beginning of the second half where he kind of anticipates where the ball is going to go, and again, as per usual Kepa antiques, he just I
It
think
was second half, I
prematurely,
think.
second half, right? Prematurely anticipates where the ball is going to go, and he attempts a dive. He could have almost missed the ball, and that guy, the striker, I think, who was it? It wasn't it wasn't Walland. It was the other
Barons.
guy. Barons. Yeah, there you go. Barons was an absolute nuisance throughout the night. I'm pretty sure Alaba will be coming off that game having nightmares of this guy. He was an absolute unit to deal with. Um, but yeah, man. Before we get out of the positives, because there are so many positives, right? I'll come to you, right? Most because you would have an alternate opinion, I hope, right? What's your general opinion on Alaba, right? Because you saw the defending for the first goal that we conceded wasn't great, right? We always have had this very clear cut knowledge that he really can't deal with aerial balls, right? Like his anticipation, his technique of how to deal with balls in the air has always been something that seems a bit lacking. But in general, man, like what do you reckon? Like, can he be our long-term center back option?
No, I don't think he can be, and
Mm.
even we even bank on him to be our first choice centre back for next 2 to 4 years even. And
Mm.
yeah, I would obviously Militao is injured, but I would always prefer the partnership of Rudiger and Militao to be your
Mm.
first. And with Alaba, I think it needs to be around with either CDM or left back positions, or at times he can be a centre back. But yeah, I don't prefer him playing at centre back regularly for as a first choice.
This season has been especially testing for Alaba. Mo, you had predicted this, like this guy is gonna, have his stumbles, here and there, and we all knew that, right? Like when you talk about Alaba, we knew what we are getting, right? Like he is a good ball progressing centre back, right? His experience was built upon being the left back, in a very rampant buy inside throughout the decade. But um, even though we quite know what we are, getting into with Alaba, sometimes it just blows your mind how it can be so catastrophic.
Yeah, I think we knew with Alaba, even the first season we talked about him, the most highlighted fact was his intangibles, his leadership, and those qualities. So I think continuing to today, it's still like those other qualities that I think Ancelotti keeps picking him for. Because for me personally, I've felt like more comfortable with Nacho than Alaba defensively currently. Like till last season maybe Alaba was better, and even this season when we talk about it for big games, we pick Alaba for his leadership and his ability to handle situations, handle pressure games. Nacho, for whatever it is worth, we have never felt that with him. But I think currently, if you just go by their defensive work, for me personally, I would like probably take Nacho over Alaba. But if Ancelotti is speaking Alaba, I wouldn't really complain about it. Overall, I think for me the thing is like I always thought that his contract with Real Madrid was for 4 years. I just found out today that was a 5 years, not four. So I am kind of stunned like where Real Madrid would go with him, because after the season, I don't think Real Madrid should be offering a renewal. And from the rumors that I have read, he has been pushing for one. So we'll see what happens. But to answer the question that you asked me as well about like where do we think with Alaba, I think we kind of like stuck with him unless Benzema manufactures an offer for him to go to Saudi.
That's a bit harsh, though. He can do better than Saudi, right? Like Alaba can definitely do better than Saudi, but
I mean, the thing
mm,
is like this guy is like at a wage structure that I don't think he'll get anywhere else. He'll have to
100%. Yeah, that's
accept the
a.
cut. So at this
How
point,
much is he on again? Can you remind me? Is he on 250?
no, I don't really know like those numbers. I know he's at 20 million a year.
Right,
So
20 million a year.
yeah,
Okay. I suck at math, so
yeah.
well,
Somebody can do the math and let us know over the week. But yeah,
I'm pretty
whatever.
sure
He's at
nobody's
20
gonna do
million,
that.
so nobody's gonna give it to him in
Right.
Europe. He probably
Mm.
have to go to Saudi or someplace, and Saudi league is like kind of progressing, so it wouldn't be a bad idea. But I think Alaba, if he agrees to take a backup role, maybe it could work out with especially with Nacho being out of contract at the end of the season. I don't know what Madrid's plan with him is, because from what I've heard, at least one of Nacho or Lucas would be offered a renewal. So let's see what happens.
Thing is with Alaba, like, yeah, on paper, like, you could argue that his versatility is going to bail him out like nine out of 10 times, because he can be used in a plethora of positions. But this season has been, like I mentioned before, has been really, really, a testing phase for him. Since the get go, it has been either being injured, missing games, or when he comes on, he has his usual. Maybe it's because he just hasn't had the time to actually settle in, which kind of feeds into his psyche as well. Because I'm pretty sure I haven't played football at the professional level, but if I used to miss a couple of you know warm up sessions with my mates, I knew I would feel rusty. So being at the top level, you know being out for such a long stop and start, those kind of stuttering involvements in games throughout the first 3 months of the season is going to definitely hamper his overall confidence that's expected. And Alaba, let's be honest, let's not kid around the block. He is a confidence defender. He is someone who thrives on his self belief in in every aspect of the game. So I'm going to give Alaba some leeway, even though I've been very very disappointed considering his super high standards. He's not your average Joe. He's not your Nicolas Sole, right? Let's be honest. He's not your Nicolas Sole. He's not your Soyuncu. He's not your average defender. He can be so much more than what he has showcased so far this season. And I'm telling you, there's so much more time throughout the season that's left. Pivotal time that's going to decide where our destiny lies this season. So Alaba, man, the jury is still out. We can't really hammer home a verdict yet, but on the night he was lacking. And that foul during I think the second half, almost at the halfway line where he tried to pull back the striker again. I forget his name. What was it, Mo?
Kevin Behrens.
Kevin Behrens, yeah. Kevin Behrens again, almost like he gave up against someone he obviously knows he isn't that quick. Although you could argue that he can really, tank through, acres of space. But man, that just shows, he is just lacking confidence. So I'm going to just, give Alaba some
I'll just say this.
Mm.
I'll just say this. I agree with you when you say that he has earned the right, to be given some time to show his qualities. Because I think in the first season, especially, he was pretty brilliant for Real Madrid. With his intangibles, with his leadership skills and everything. Last season, probably with the injuries again, start stop. This season again with the injuries, start stop. So you definitely have a very valid point about players needing a run of games to get back into their best, because we've seen it with Mendy this season. So you cannot say that it won't happen with Alaba. Maybe he makes us eat our words. But I the one point I disagree with you on is the fact about his versatility, because I think whenever we have played him at left back in big games,
I actually didn't land on that point. My bad. But yeah, man, I've always said it pretty loud, right? He can't really do a job on the left. On the left flank, yeah,
and I think Mush was also talking about playing him at CDM, but I think he's never played for CDM at Real Madrid. So for me, I don't really consider him to be a defensive midfielder. And for the left back position as well, I still remember the game against Liverpool, last season at Anfield, where Salah completely tore him apart. But then when Nacho came on, Salah he completely got into Nacho's pocket. So. I am a bit iffy about Alaba playing as a left back for Real Madrid. There may be some games where you need him, but I think for the big games you'll always go with Camavinga or Ferland Mendy, instead of Alaba. So yeah, I think Alaba probably has to prove himself as centre back if he wants to stay on Real Madrid. And I think you have a completely valid point when you talk about him deserving a run of games to prove himself before we just start deciding to play jury.
Yeah. Let me get a few of the comments, Jacob, if you're listening. And Ricardo was in the comments. He was saying, an okay game, defensive lapses as usual, which I'm hoping we can mature on going further into the season, as those may cost us against more elite teams. Happy for Joselu. 100%, and Joselu needed that. Ricardo was also mentioning Alaba is not a natural defender by trade. I have nothing against him, but I hope when Militao returns, Alaba needs to see the bench. He's just too slight at times for me. Yeah, sometimes the way he loses a 50-50 is just mad. It's hard for me to comprehend. But if you're a wing back, who grew up, who found his place in the top brackets of European football, you can maybe understand that. Prince Arthur was also in the chat. Big up Prince. He was saying Lucas Vazquez was why we conceded the first goal, couldn't defend to save his life. Alaba was struggling, but he struggles with Nacho pairing. He's still a good player. Need to renew his contract. I don't know, man. Lucas Vazquez, I thought we all know what Lucas Vazquez is about, and in my humble opinion, he had a brilliant night. He was so good for me,
Man,
after Joselu.
I just have to ask you this question, because even my commentator was saying Lucas Vazquez had a brilliant night, but whenever I saw Lucas Vazquez, he was pinging balls into the opposition defender, so I didn't really understand why.
It's not about
No.
Um,
I didn't see it, so I just want to like understand. Maybe probably because my attention was deviated. So
let's get into Vasquez then. So for me personally, right, like yeah, his delivery was off. Well, then whose delivery was on point? Maybe we had like couple of good bang on crosses that actually worked. Vasquez for me completely shut out the right hand side, which I didn't expect him to. Although he didn't come up against the greatest wingers. It was Gosens sometimes. Whenever he went into a challenge, he just won it effortlessly, man. Like I felt like he held his own. I know it wasn't the greatest test. I would like to reinstate, but Vasquez for me was one of the better performers, man. Like I felt like he was pretty good, and his driving runs always was a threat down the right. Although, like you said, the delivery wasn't great. But most man, do you have anything to add on Lucas Vasquez?
No, I think it was great today. I remember in the first half, he sort of looped the ball over to Bellingham, and I think that was one of the first few chances we had.
Yeah, where Bellingham actually takes a couple of touches, brilliant touches to control the ball and tries the shot, right? Yeah, low driven shot. I remember that.
Linking up, I think it was him who linked up with Rodrigo for our first goal on the right flank. So
I guess so. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
overall in attacking, he was brilliant, and in defensive, I think he did his job. I mean, like you said, he wasn't up against some 5-star skill player. But he got the job done. So yeah.
People are a little too harsh on Vasquez. Like by now, like he has been at our club for like what now like 7 years, 8 years, right? Like we should be well and truly aware of what we're getting with Vasquez, man. And
I wish Farouk was here today. He would tear into you guys.
well, I'm just
You
I'm
just say that
being,
you guys are too easily pleased. Too easily satisfied.
on a night where so many of our players were lacking. I should give some flowers to Vasquez, man. Farouk, yeah, he is the purists, the so-called purists, So yeah, Farouk has very high standards. He doesn't live in a world that we live in. At least I live in. For instance, because he lives in his dreamland of the good old Marcelo Contrao, where we had the world's best wing backs play for us. That's not the case anymore. That's never the case anymore. El Merengue boy was in the chat. He was mentioning Ala Madrid, perfect 6 out of 6, good game. Please give some flowers to our underappreciated Spanish players. Vasquez, like we have been discussing. Fan Garcia and Joselu, his name sounds like delicious Asian soup. I have no idea how that came about, but yeah, like Mo, if you can, help us out because you have some experience living in China. Does it sound like Asian soup?
No. Maybe it's his last name, Joselu Mato, yeah.
Maybe
Japanese wine or something.
Right. Maybe I guess it's a matter of it's sounding exotic in some shape or form, but yeah, Vasquez, like I said, I was pretty impressed. Mo, I can see that you were you were finding his overall performance lacking a bit.
No, man. My thing is like I because I like already said, I wasn't like completely 100% focused on this game, so I didn't really understand like why you guys are praising him so much. But you've made some good points. I think I didn't like realize that he was good defensively. For me, most of his things were about his attack and his inability to put in proper deliveries, like you mentioned, you also mentioned. So when you're talking about his defense, I have to admit that I didn't really pay much attention. So there's got to be a point there. For me personally, as Almeringa was talking about Spanish players, so I think you have to praise Joselu. Although he missed the first 4 shots, the 5th and 6th he scored 2 goals, and he's a big reason why we won today. Ceballos again scored in a goal that kind of had Jacob pulling his hair out, but alongside me. But it was a goal, and eventually that gives us the victory. And I think we have to be happy for it, because 6 out of 6 isn't an easy feat. This is the only third, like we've done it the 3rd time, and only Bayern had done it 3 times, so not easy to do. And like I said at the start, for me, I kind of like what Fran did, with his crossing and everything, and with his passes, and I felt he was a little bit more confident today. So yeah, definitely some of the Spanish players definitely do deserve credit, and Nacho is always Nacho, captain of Real Madrid.
100%. Nacho, you can completely expect a certain level of stability, some consistency with Nacho. But again, for the first goal, can you say that you can? But that's something that Nacho has always done throughout his career. Like he over.
Now, for me, the thing is like it was kind of a weird thing, weird tackle from. I don't know what Alaba was doing because Nacho, one of your defenders supposed to go and challenge for the ball, right? You can't
Yeah.
let them just win aerial balls. So I understand what Nacho did, and Nacho's always been a front foot defender. But like Mus pointed out, I think Alaba and Nacho fit isn't the best because both of them like to defend with their foot on their front foot, and neither of
Yeah.
them are a good backup defender. So
100%. 100%. Right. I guess that's pretty much the defense covered. We talked about Fran a bit, if you have anything to add. Like for me, that's not enough. This performance doesn't really say anything much about Fran. What's your opinion on Fran, man? Like, can he usurp Mendy down the left?
I'm one of those people who prefer Mendy over Fran Garcia, but that's mainly because of Mendy's defensive qualities. I think in defense, Mendy is a not far, but like much better player than Fran Garcia. But then on the other hand, Fran Garcia, even today, for the second goal, the cross for Joselu was, we rarely see those types of crosses from Mendy, and he really gets it right. So overall, I would always prefer Mendy just because we have enough of attacking abilities to score goals, but not enough to defend against. So I would always prefer a defensive option as a left. But yeah, I would personally always have Mendy on. But because this was a game which really didn't really mean anything, I think it's good to get Fran in and get some minutes under his belt.
Yeah, I guess this should do some some good to his confidence because like he has been thrown into the deep end early parts of the season where Mendy was struggling for fitness and he was struggling with form, and we kind of Fran in a period where he was trying to settle in, he was suddenly under the spotlight, thrown into big games, asking big things of him from the get go. So I knew it was a bit harsh on him, but come on, man, the levels that we expect at Real Madrid should be so much more higher than what Fran Garcia offers. Whether it be going forward, whether it be defensively as well. But I think he had a good performance. The second goal was a nice assist from Fran, and he was always an outlet down our left, and he had his fair share of defensive lapses. Like we expect. His passing under pressure again for me seemed a bit lacking, but I think that's pretty much what you can expect from a plan B, I guess. Someone who is willing to step in when needed. Um, Putting up a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 performances. I think that's pretty much what you can ask. Mo, is there anything that you wanna add on, Fran?
I mean, I guess like offensively is pretty. I liked what I saw from him today. He pinged in a lot of crosses that were pretty accurate. When you contrast that with what happened on the other side, you kind of like his performance gets highlighted when your other defender, like even the opponents are giving you space to cross in, and the other guy is getting closed out. So that kind of like says it all. And for me, whenever I saw him, he was putting in some good crosses for Joselu, and like I mentioned already, like his positioning, his ability to coordinate was something that I think was better than what I saw earlier in the season. As for defense, like I have to plead my, I have to plead the fifth because, like I said, my mind was diverted between two games, so I couldn't really make that observation. But I'll have to take your word for it.
Well, there you go, people. Right. Javier was mentioning, short on Mendy, long term Fran, long on Davis. Well, we had that conversation, the group chat, right, regarding Alfonso Davis, and yeah,
I
Mo
think
is not keen on it.
we had this conversation in the last pod, right? When we were talking about the characteristics. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whenever I've heard Bayern fans talk about Alfonso Davies, like recently, it's always been negative. They've always like the jury has always been that he hasn't really progressed from where he was in 2020, and the fact is like they feel that he has regressed. But then they also said that Alaba wasn't really that good. So you always have to take their words with a grain of salt. If he comes, which seems very likely, as always, we'll always get behind our players. We support Kepa, we support Luden, we support everybody. So Alfonso Davies, if he pulls on a Madrid jersey, obviously he'll have a fan in me. But if it were up to me, I would be bringing Miguel. So for me, neither Fran nor Alfonso Davies is a long-term option. I think it should be Miguel.
Do you have anything to chip in, Moss? Do you think that Davis is going to be the answer?
Yeah, I think he does help out in because he's sort of like a mixture between he's like the middle point between Fran Garcia and Mendy. He's got decent amount of quality in terms of defense, and then he's great in attacking. But the question I want to ask is, what do we do when we have three left backs, and they all pretty much can start for Real Madrid? So
I hate it, but the club wants Mendy out.
yeah. Oh, so Mendy's gonna go.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Most likely to go. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, I think in terms of Alfonso Davies, he will make a huge impact in terms of, just getting us forward on the left-hand side more quicker even though we've already got Vinny. But I think he'll be more impactful on the left than Mendy or Fran Garcia.
Well, there you go. Miguel Gutierrez is some sort of an outside, choice at this moment in time. Many people still believe that his train has actually passed, but we have to wait and see, because I wasn't very keen on the kid, and like I said in the group chat to you boys, what I saw against Barcelona, what Miguel Gutierrez was about, I knew he has something, he had something special. But when I see it, with very tangible evidence, it looks like he is very well rounded, man, very very well rounded for his age. Yeah, but only on Bali, coming into this game, on just dusting up their 17 game winless streak at the weekend. Like we should have done more, defensively. But the second goal, there's not much you can do. Like we talked about Rui Bal scoring a goal after 2.5 years. Alex Kral, out of nowhere. I never knew he could even score goals, but he scored a goal after 5 years that I felt like, the ball was kind of, flapping around, Brahim trying to clear the ball, then, Cruz trying to intervene. So many mishaps, a string of mishaps basically led to that finish. But yeah, Kepa, can you blame him? I don't think so. It was so perfectly placed. That was a well taken goal. But moving on to our journey in, coming back from 1-0 down, then had to come back at 2-2 to win 3-2 as well. Joselu, Mo, will jump straight to the crux of tonight's performances. We have always cried out for Joselu to be this guy that really doesn't crumble under pressure, right? Like on many occasions, like we have seen that he struggles to keep his head high, to go again. He just lacks that self belief at times, but tonight, like, he just kept going, and you could see the relief whenever he scored.
So I'm sorry, but I don't really think I agree with you on that point. I've never thought that Joselu lacks that ability to keep going. What I've always felt that he lacks a little bit of quality to finish that half chances that are created. For me, I think even in previous games, when we have seen Joselu missing, he kind of gets frustrated but he's always trying. I think if you can say something positive, it's like about Joselu is the fact that if there's only one thing you can say about him, is the fact that he never gives up. And today we saw it again, like Jacob pointed out, like it took him 5 shots to score his first goal, but at the 6th shot he scored his second goal. So the thing I like about Joselu is his perseverance, his dogged determination. That I think Real Madrid, a player who wears Real Madrid shirt, should definitely have. And I think when you go to the Bernabeu, you can be a player who scored 20 goals like on 20 shots, but you don't have that that ability to apply yourself to a game. The Bernabeu is never going to be on your side. But when you with players like Joselu, with players like Lucas, they always give their 100%. So with players like this, you always have to appreciate them. And I think Joselu is just one of those. He's just one of us. He's a fan like us, and his ability to persevere, to stick with it, and to score even when things are getting tough for him, I think it's like is noteworthy. But then at the end of the day, it comes back to the same point, right? Yeah, I think he likes a little bit of quality to be Real Madrid's starting striker. If it was like Joselu was our backup, all good. But when it comes to him being our only striker in the squad, I think we kind of have to take a step back and wonder what's happening.
Yeah, it's down to recruitment. The blame should be bestowed upon the board. But to the earlier point that you were kind of displeased with what I mentioned. See,
I wasn't displeased with you.
no, the thing is, you took it the wrong way. Maybe I framed it the wrong way as well, because it's not the lack of desire. It's not the lack of application. It's more like he loses confidence easily. That's what I meant to say, basically.
Yeah,
when he
that's
misses
what
a
I
couple
was
of
argue. I said I disagree with that, because I think he has the ability to persevere, although he gets frustrated when things aren't going his way. And like you said, there is this thing about where he starts like panicking a little bit because things aren't going well, like you said. But he still has that ability to back himself up and go again, which I think is admirable.
Thoughts most on Joselu so far this season? The first goal was a neat header. Second goal as well, diving header from Fran.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna agree with everything Moa said. His ability to just keep fighting till the end, and then hopefully, I think for the last couple of games where he has missed a lot of chances, but he always ended up scoring at least one goal. So there's always something to show up for it. But yeah, overall, I think it's down to, like you said, it's down to the recruitment. We shouldn't be putting the expectations of 20, 25 goals from someone like Joselu, who's what, 32, 33 years old, to be number one striker for Real Madrid, and expect him to score 25 goals is just not realistic. So if anything, if you want to blame or point fingers, and that's down to the board or the recruitment, not to the player, because he's doing his best. He's trying, but in terms of football, I would say he does lack quality in terms of just being a bit more patient with some of the chances he gets. He rushes with some of the chances and ends up. I remember his header, was it against Napoli, or it was one of the Champions League games. It was like an open net, and he rushed for the header and completely missed. So yeah, just a bit more patience and a bit more calm in front of the goal, and I think that should get him more goals. But overall, I'm getting what I expected of him. Was 6 goals in La Liga. This is counting today. I think it's third goal in Champions League. So yeah, that's sort of the performances I expected anyway.
There you go. Like we've always discussed, his goals are basically the ones that we should be replacing it with Mariano's, which didn't really exist for large parts of his tenure with us. But Joselu, like I said before, I expect a bit more conviction sometimes, but I'm so happy, especially with tonight's performance, where he kind of had to step up, and he did step up, for 2 vital goals, where the timing of them was very, very crucial. Because if maybe, if the first goal took a bit longer, the game would have had a completely different complexion. But Joselu stepped up, delivered the goods. since we are on Joselu, right? I want to bring up this question, man. Our pen takers, bro. Like, we haven't scored one penalty this season. Most, man, like, I'll come to you again. Where do you stand on this? Like, who should be taking pens? Like, why can't we score pens to save our lives? Should it be Joselu?
Honestly, don't know at this point when Modric is missing. Do you know,
Mm.
when I see Modric picking up the ball, I was like, okay, do you know what? I'm more happy that he's taking. I felt a bit more skilled.
Mm.
But when he missed his, I was like, mate, we've literally got no one else. Like, okay, Joselu can do that, but you expect that from a striker anyway to be able to score a pen. But again,
Mm.
he's one of those players who's, you don't know what you're going to get. So you don't have that confidence in him. And other than that, maybe Bellingham but I don't think we had. But I would, if we have Cruz on the pitch, I would definitely go with Cruz at all times.
Mo? Cruz? Really? Is he the answer?
I don't really want to be harsh on Mus, but I think Cruz has refused to take penalties previously. So I don't know how. Yeah. So I don't really know how willing he would be. But for me personally, I said this at the start of the season. I think Rodrigo should be the one who should be taking penalties. I think just stick with him. He probably missed one, but doesn't really matter. He has the confidence to take them. He's buried a few complicated ones in the past in pressure situations. So yeah, just back him up. Other than calling Benzema or Ramos to come and take penalties, I don't think we can do that. So yeah, just let Rodrigo be it. Or if it doesn't work out, then I think Bellingham used to take a couple for Dortmund. I don't know,
Yeah.
from what I remember. So probably try him out if things don't work out with Rodrigo. For me personally, yeah, you just shot 3, you missed 3. It looks bad right now, but I think come the end of the season, it will even out.
I hope it does, because now, like, where we stand, December 12th, almost approaching halfway, midway point of the season, it doesn't look good. I should, me watching, right? Like, as a fan, I should have a bit more faith that a pen finally goes in, because whenever I see a pen, I'm like dreading the worst. That never used to be the case. I used to be the guy who used to celebrate the goal being scored before the pen was taken. We used to be that kind of, clutch meisters.
It's just the universe getting back at you.
Maybe for being overtly cocky, it just I guess what goes around comes around. But yeah, man, let's get into a few of the comments before we break down some of the other performances. Marcus Winningham is in the chat. Big up Marcus. He was mentioning Nico Paz should have started this game to gain more confidence and experience, especially when Modric and Cruz leaves in the end of the season. This is a debate that has been done to death. Carlo has different thoughts, man. Unfortunately, El Merengue boy was also mentioning we need to have an awkward conversation about set pieces because we're not scoring from anything: corners, free kicks, and pens. What the hell, bro? Even last season, like we have discussed this countless times that we just lack proper goal scorers from set pieces. We used to be the most feared side in Europe, arguably, on set pieces. People, when we get a 90th minute corner, 90th minute free kick, people just know it's curtains. But as of late, ever since guys like Cristiano, Bale, Ramos, they all left all at the same time, it doesn't really bode well for us in set piece situations. Like, who do you put your money on? Rudiger, yeah, he gets on the end of it more often than not, even Militao, but they just don't have that knack to do it consistently, man. That's just the way it is, as of late. Ashi was mentioning came close. Joselu needed only one more goal for the hat trick. Yeah. You guys should
already putting on his slippers, to go and buy.
Yeah, it'll happen. Maybe probably in the Copa del Rey, like you guys, predicted, but it's bound to happen. Joselu is gonna have a game where he bags a hat trick. It's not far away, I'll tell you that.
I mean, we're playing a 4th division team, so.
In the Copa del Rey.
Yeah, so our campaign might not last longer than one game. So
that's also
one game to do it.
That's also true. Germain Pereiro was in the chat. Big up Germain. He was mentioning, do you guys think after all the group games and the league matches played so far, Madrid are the best in Europe? No chance. Not by a long shot. Who can you really say, like, Bayer Leverkusen doesn't really sit at the same table as us, so I can't really, nominate them as the best team currently in Europe. But Mo, any early shouts?
I think it's still premature to be because okay, let's put it this way: which team has been best performing? I think Leverkusen has been pretty good. From the games that you've seen from the league performances, especially. But if you look at the title favorites, that's a different thing, and I think titles are won at the second half of the season. But so far, I think we've been pretty good, and I would put us, like, we already had this discussion as well, I think, before. City, us, and Bayern are probably going to be the favorites for Champions League, and my opinion hasn't changed. Although I think out of the three, Bayern has probably been the better. City have obviously struggled with De Bruyne and the players they're missing. But let's see what happens. It doesn't really mean much, even if we are the best team in Europe right now.
There you go. I'll tell you this, right? We on paper, us on paper, really look like the real deal. Just one loss, that too in a very complicated situation away at the Metropolitano. Like you could suffer that even in your best season. That's just the way it goes. But for me, yes, we have been defensively so much more solid than I ever expected us to be under Carlo. But there has to be much more vindicating performances from us. There has been a couple truly vindictive, performances, like the Classico, like the Napoli away result, to say the least. Some last minute winners, but we have to be a bit more convincing for us to, really, have my chest out and claim that we are the absolute best. But man, like, I would like your thoughts as well. Like, can we consider ourselves as numero uno in Europe, December the 12th, 2023?
I don't think so. But on the other hand, I think I mentioned in one of the few podcasts previously that we've only lost one game, and I think only drew like 2 or 3 games overall since the season has started. So that does put us up for a debate. You want to look at it from results point of view, or you want to look at it from the performance of the actual football that we play? So yeah, in terms of stats, I think we could be up there. In terms of performances, I don't think we stand a chance in claiming that we are the literally, like the 16-17 season where we could walk into any stadium and say, yeah, we're going to beat you. So I don't think we have that firepower at this point. But, in terms of numbers and wins, yeah, we do have a pretty good debate. We could have a good debate on this.
I think you guys have made like very valid points. I think you really can't refute them. But I'd just like to point out, like, at the beginning of the season, I was kind of incredibly down on our team. So the performances so far have been a little bit better than I expected, because I wasn't really expecting for us to come to the stage having only lost once and drawn twice. So I think overall we've been decent, especially given the fact that we lost Benzema and our entire system had to be changed. So overall, so far I'm pleased with how our season has gone. But I think the bigger trophies are obviously won in the second half. So the jury's still out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, the jury's still out, man. Like, we can't really stake a claim. Like, even City couldn't. Even in a season where they won the treble last year, approaching the midway point of the season, nobody thought that they would go on to have the season they had. That's what I hope for us as well. We have inconsistencies, I hope, which will iron out towards the second half of the season. But big up every single one of you in the chat. If you're new here, smash the likes, and also subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 2K. Who else should we cast our eyes on to next? Rodrigo, man. Who wasn't his most, enticing performance. It wasn't the most his most assertive performance as of late, but it just goes to show the upward trajectory that this man is on. Mo, the assist was delivered on a plate. Like, you can't. You should see if Joselu misses that. That's 100% on Joselu because the delivery was on point. There's no chance in hell you can miss that.
Yeah, I think Joselu also did well to pull off the push off the defender he was battling with. But then, Rodrigo's assist was brilliant. It reminded me actually of an assist that he gave for Benzema. I think it was the away game against City in the 1920 season, where we went to Anfield and I kind of lost, I think. So, sorry, not Anfield, Etihad. Yeah. So, it reminded me of that assist. I think Rodrigo kind of moved to the right today towards he was kind of everywhere. And he tried a lot combining with Bellingham. When I watched this Real Madrid side, I felt like these guys Bellingham and Rodrigo were the more creative force behind our team today. Joselu scored the 2 goals, so he was absolutely worthy of being the finisher. But Rodrigo and Bellingham, I think they worked well to create a lot of chances. They tried to create something wonderful. Sadly, didn't work out for either of them, because they didn't really end up with goals. But when you look at it, when you ignore the stats and you just look at pure performance, I was pretty impressed with both Rodrigo and Bellingham.
Yeah, Jude as well. He didn't really have the impact that he would like to have, but his overall performance again was outstanding. His combinations, whether it be down the right, down the left, he was mostly drifting towards the left. But yeah, man, his ability to be the guy who takes his responsibility, asking the ball to feet, and he'll just give you a solution, right? I think that's what makes Jude such an X factor, because wherever you are on the pitch, you need a way out. He is your man.
Yeah. I don't know if it was first half or second half, but Jude basically found Rodrigo with a perfect cross to he should have scored really. Rodrigo.
The header, right? Yeah.
Second half.
Second half.
And those types of chances, he created them all over all of the game.
Yeah.
And every time he was playing those 1 and 2s in the final third of the pitch, he was always other players where they pass, they play 1 and 2 and they stop. I always saw him moving around, trying to get into spaces where other people should have been exploiting, but he wasn't. He was the one who was doing their job basically. So I think with him, if we had player like Benzema currently playing with Jude, I think we would be scoring a lot more goals than what we currently are doing. But again, I think Rodrigo and Bellingham give us that sort of flexibility in moving around, because I think Rodrigo played some of the time in the second half as right wing as well. And I remember him cutting in and taking a shot with his left foot, which was a bullet of a shot, but luckily unluckily got saved. So yeah, I think them just playing like a false 9 role towards the final third of the pitch, it does create more chances.
100%. Like his movement is his greatest asset. We have always drove home that narrative that he is absolutely someone who thrives on drifting in and out, bamboozling defenses. He has that ability to pop up in areas that really helps us drive the team forward. But yeah, man, Jude and Rodrigo, in short, they had excellent games. It wasn't exactly peak Rodrigo Jude this season, but still, they were 2 pillars behind most of the great work that we managed to put up on the night. But yeah, like some of the lesser star performances, shall we say, Toni Kroos came on in the second half. Had a big say in what way the match turned out to be. It's not the first time that has happened. Carlos said in the post match that this was a premeditated change. Like what Mo said. Which again worked for us, man. Mo Kroos again keeps delivering the goods, whether it be taking shots, taking initiative when needed, finding man from deep, combining with people edge of the box. He can do just about everything this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen this time and over. Whenever we're missing Cruz in the team, we seem to lack something. But when he comes on, you realize, oh yeah, this is what we were lacking. So, and I think there was a rumor today in the Spanish media about the German national team potentially wanting Cruz back for the Euros. They're asking him to come out of retirement and everything. For Remedi's sake, I hope that doesn't happen because we need a fit Cruz, a fresh Cruz, because Cruz since his retirement and since the time that he took some time off to recover from his injury and get back to full fitness. I think he's been pretty brilliant. So for Ramirez's sake, I hope it just keeps on going this way, and Tony Cruz sticks to do his decision and doesn't really go back to win the one trophy that I think is missing in his Arsenal, the Euros. But yeah, Tony Cruz for Real Madrid, absolute brilliant, absolutely a legend. It's been a pleasure watching him, and I hope it continues to be a pleasure watching him in the seasons to come.
100%. Again, he just completely, staked his claim as probably the best midfielder, this season for us, yet again, because Chouameni has been missing in action for a while. Jude, can you really tag him under, the midfielder category? I don't think so. He has been more or less a forward for us this season. But Moss, I will come to you, man, for Danny Ceballos, right? Like, I've been a guy that has really had my doubts regarding him. He hasn't really given me enough confidence over the years to back him to, push our, starters for a starting berth. But he came on, wasn't very neat. I'll be honest. He misplaced a few big passes, which I felt is always around the corner with Danny, but bagged the third vital goal.
Yeah, I'm also not a huge fan of Danny. I think last season, towards the end, when he was fighting for his contract renewal,
Yeah,
he did put in some solid.
he showed
performances.
up big time.
So I think we just need to have him enrolled on monthly renewal plan or something. Keep fighting for his contract. Otherwise, I don't. Yeah, he could be a decent, backup. Maybe play against some small teams like Copa del Rey.
Yeah,
Or, like tonight's game, where it wasn't really, nothing to really fight for. So he could be a good choice to give rest to the first team players. But overall, in terms of performances, he doesn't really offer us, that distinct quality that we don't have. Like he's not at creating chances. He's not great at defensive. He's not great at just holding the play. So
yeah.
it's just like an average midfielder, which it could be a good backup option. But apart from that, I don't see him. I don't think we need him.
Mo, yeah, that's what most things, man. We don't need him. Do you really agree with that?
I said in the summer I was kind of surprised that Ceballos renewed with us. So because at best he's the seventh choice in midfield.
Oh my god!
But like we have like seven midfielders, so he's probably behind everybody else. So saying seventh might sound harsh, but
add Nico Paz into the mix.
I don't think he's behind Nico Paz. Come on, man. I think Ancelotti. If it was a different manager, maybe, but with Ancelotti, first teamers always come first. So.
Right.
Yeah, right. I think a good question might be: do you consider Brahim a midfielder? Because if you do consider Brahim a midfielder, maybe he's behind him as well.
But he's not a midfielder. No.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think that's where Ceballos stands. But I'll just say this: he's coming back from a long injury as well, so we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This was, I think, his third game. So maybe with some minutes under his belt, he probably improves and maybe tends towards his performances towards the end of last season. But I don't think he's going to replicate them because, like Mas pointed out, that was a contract year. So contract year players are like completely different from normal players. So you always have to keep that in mind. I think when we had these discussions in the summer, the point that we made was like he's probably getting renewed because next season Modric might not be there, so you might need some experience, to seal up the midfield. We didn't really know we don't really still know what Cruz plans to do in the summer. So we don't really want to be short on numbers, and there's also potentially the benefit of him probably wanting to leave next season and getting a transfer fee for him. So yeah, it's okay. But the thing is, like, there is a bias. You use him when you need a performance from the bench. If he gives you, you're happy. If he doesn't give you, you can't really blame anyone.
There you go. Uh, for me, like this guy, like he just needs to sort out his contract and move elsewhere, man, for minutes. Because if I was in his position, like how the hell would you be happy with warming the bench for God knows how long? Because he is clearly talented for someone who is aspiring to be in the European spot, or someone somewhere a bit lower, not exactly relegation or bottom half of the table, but someone who has a bit less of an expectation, or bit less of a a target for the season. Like with us, like he's just completely lost. He just lost regarding whether it be place in the team, minutes. He just always was a guy who hoped for something to break. But yeah, whenever he has gotten a break, I felt like he just found himself lacking in more than one ways. But yeah, good goal. I'm not gonna lie, lucky deflection, but he showed the initiative to try the shot and whatnot. So I'll give him credit for that, and he backed the winner. It was a very important um, goal, not concerning our destiny in the Champions League, but to keep our record intact and make it 6 out of 6. On to someone that has been divisive this season, hasn't really had much of a starring role. Luka Modric was. Your thoughts on his performance tonight?
I don't really have much to say on his performance. Just like Mo, I was also watching the United and Bayern game.
Mhm.
But for the time I did watch the game, Madrid and Berlin, I don't remember seeing him. Like I remember like Bellingham, Joselu, other players' moments, but I don't remember him doing something that was really uh, out there. So
Mhm.
in this game, yeah, he didn't show his quality to his ability, but overall, I think his again age is catching up to him, and we are also bringing in the likes of Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, these guys, Bellingham. These guys are at the peak of their fitness, and they can run the show for next at least 7-8 years. So yeah, it will be hard to compete against them at this age. But yeah, I don't remember him doing anything amazing in this game.
Mhm.
Overall, I think you can keep him until the end of the season, but I don't think there should be a renewal for Modric. However, for Cruz, I do think that yeah, it's up to him actually if he wants to retire or continue playing. But if he does decide on continue playing, I think we should do everything in our power to keep him and don't let him go to any other club.
Luka Modric actually had the pre-assist for Joselu's second goal. He threads that brilliant through ball out to Fran Garcia. But I guess that was a flash in the pan for the entire game. Like you said, he wasn't really putting up a 9 or an 8 or a 7, for an instance. Luka Modric, the Luka Modric I grew up with wasn't like this, man. I'm not gonna lie. But more, your thoughts on Lukita?
I think from what I saw, you have rightfully said that probably it was a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 performance from him. But
Mm.
I did saw some moments of some Luka magic, because
Mhm.
there were some moments in close spaces where he wonderfully controlled the ball and combined with other players around him.
Expected stuff from Luka
Yeah.
at this point. Mm.
Yeah, definitely. So, but sometimes you can't really take those things for granted, because once
No.
Modric is gone, you probably don't get to see them again. So
Yeah.
for me, that was definitely there was definitely some good things from him. But the thing is, like, it was the whole story of the match was about uh, us lacking intensity, because I think for us this game didn't really matter that much. So when it's games like this, is the simple fact of life is like you're not always giving your 100% every day. You can't really give the same amount of effort for every match day. So
Yeah.
on some matches you're going to be a little less, some matches you're going to be a little more, and this game didn't really mean anything to the players as well. So it's very difficult to bring that 100%, 110% intensity that we've been used to seeing from players like Luka Modric. He would give like 100 to 150% every game, but today it didn't really matter much. So probably that's why we didn't really get to see 10 out of 10, like you said, Luka Modric. But overall it was decent. End of the day, result was in our favor, so nobody's gonna complain too much. He missed the pen that probably he could have scored. If he had scored that, I think he would have been the oldest player for Madrid to score or something like that. So
Yeah, the Champions League. Yeah.
you just sorry it didn't happen. But overall, Modric is Modric. He's always going to be a legend. And what he decides to do in the summer, he has earned the right to decide it himself. If he wants to retire, it's good. If he wants to go and pursue some other team and play for someone else, it's his choice. If he wants to continue at Madrid and the management can come to an agreement with him, fine enough. Real Madrid fans can never complain about Luka Modric being on the team.
100%. This season, like we have had so many post matches reviews where we discuss Luka Modric and we just hope that he's going to turn a corner. And there have been some encouraging signs, these past month or so regarding where his where his pathway lies back into the starting lineup. But I've always stood by this. I'm going to stand by this. That Luka would be a pivotal pivotal piece in our push for major silverware towards the end of the season. That's where the bread is earned. That's where that's where your stake is claimed. So I just hope that that Luka that we know, who rises up to the biggest of the occasions, he's still there somewhere. Right now it ain't easy for him. You could see how frustrated he is, and I feel for him. He's someone who has given me immense joy, like I've always mentioned throughout my life. So I'm not taking this for granted more. But yeah, like I said, stuff like that, it's expected from Luka. I expect. I know it's unrealistic. He's 38. We all know the age-old phrase that time waits for no one. Sometimes it just passes you by, and before you know it, you're deemed not good enough. That's what happened with Luka this season. At the beginning of the season, the performances dropped quite significantly, which was not expected. To be honest, even for a man of his caliber, we didn't expect him to really drop down to bang average, and he still has time. Like I said, still has time. Post February, I hope he finds his rhythm. He fights his way back into the side, and if he leaves on a high. That's what matters to me the most. He should absolutely leave on a high. I don't want him to leave like like Benzema. I know it ain't the lowest of the low to leave on, but when these guys leave, man, I would like them to leave with some big silverware in their back pocket. It's gonna make the farewell a bit more easy to digest. Easy on our hearts, to be precise. But I guess that pretty much wraps it up, man. Subs: Brahim Diaz didn't have much time to showcase much. Nico Paz, also Rudiger, expected. He comes in, puts in a solid performance. It's been the tale of the season where Rudiger has been your go-to man, at the back. So nothing special. But yeah, boys, anything to add? Any last thoughts, Moss?
No, not really. I think we covered everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, just your thoughts. Who would you like to face for the last 16? I was just thinking about this.
Yeah, that was actually the question that was in my mind as well. I was gonna say that, but then I realized that tomorrow is the final Champions League match day. So two spots are left open still. We still have a game to look forward to, hoping PSG lose. But
Yeah, Newcastle needs to do something.
So if Newcastle win, right? What is the chances that what are the chances that PSG gets knocked out? Like I haven't
I
looked into
think
the table.
PSG have the upper hand, so
Hmm.
PSG have to lose for there to be any chance for other teams to go through.
Yeah. So
PSG have to lose or
PSG has
drop
to
points.
lose, and Newcastle has to win, and only then Newcastle can go further.
So if PSG loses this game, like will they be third?
Yeah.
Okay, they'll drop down to Europa. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, that'll be
I think
something,
seeing
right?
PSG in the Europa League would be a sight to behold.
I know, right? Like it'll be something special.
Yeah, Kylian
And
Mbappe going up against Trent Alexander-Arnold in the Europa League.
it'll be something for the ages. I'm not gonna lie, and history won't forget this. The pompous Parisians down in the gutter. In the Europa League. That's gonna be something. But we all know the likelihood of that happening is what 10%, 5%, right?
Yeah, I think PSG have too much quality for that to happen, so I fully expect them to go through.
But alluding to Musa's question, it was a very good question. Who would you like to face? Who,
Yeah.
who are all the second place teams in the group
Okay,
so far?
let me just run it down. All right. I
Right.
think from Group H, that's Barcelona's group. I think Porto and Shakhtar both have a chance. Don't know if Barcelona can win second. In Group G, City's group is Leipzig. Group F, it's Dortmund, PSG, so undecided still. It's Atleti, and I think Lazio are through as well. So, Lazio is one option for us. That's decided. I think Inter is another one because La Real won their group. So, Inter, Lazio, Napoli obviously isn't an option for us. PSV is a potential opponent, and Copenhagen. So those are the teams so far.
I'll take Copenhagen and sleep, but we all know who Copenhagen is going to get. It's going to be
Yeah,
Manchester City.
man, I think Copenhagen, like, if coming into the
Not
season,
easy.
I was pretty down.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like, from what I've seen, Copenhagen away can be a difficult group game. So
I know. I know.
So yeah, it can be a little poisonous bullet, asking for that easy spot.
But who do you prefer, though?
For me personally, yeah, I don't know, man. We've had a good record against Italian teams recently, so probably Lazio.
Not Inter. Yeah,
Inter, though.
Lazio. Yeah,
Not
Lazio.
Inter though.
Lazio.
So Lazio probably could be a good shout. We haven't played them in a long time, so it could be one.
Could be one. Against fastest as well. Lazio has a very very
Yeah.
bad reputation for
But
being.
Lazio's ultras and Real Madrid ultras are kind of friends.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
both of them fascists.
Yeah, but most.
But one team I would like to avoid is Leipzig. One team I'd like to avoid is Leipzig.
I haven't seen much of them. Or do they look good this season?
I mean, Leipzig play with an intensity that is like sometimes gets uncomfortable for Real Madrid. So, like in previous season, it has been. So I would like
last season. I remember. Yeah. Can get sticky.
So for me,
but
that's one team I don't want to face.
But most, man, talk to us. Who do you prefer?
Yeah, I think for me it would be either Copenhagen or Porto. Or Lazio. I think it's between these three. But ideally, I would prefer Porto, bringing Pep to Santiago Bernabeu.
It'll be a good reunion.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those three would be good. But then again, I think the easy teams are gonna go towards Manchester City. I've seen.
Yeah, that's.
What I saw, not a single good team in that group. It's absolutely crazy.
Red Star Belgrade, was it? They're former Champions League winners, man. But it was way back in '91 or something. But yeah.
It was Leipzig, Young Boys, and Red Star Belgrade. So, what are you doing?
Yeah. But yeah, man. I just hope we get an easy round. But I don't know. I just feel like if we get someone tough, it might fire us up a bit more. But I don't want to test out luck that way, because especially with the squad being a bit thin up front, I would like to have the easiest pathway to a potential last 8 as possible. Simple as. Ashik was mentioning, shout out to Real Sociedad in the next round, 4 out of 5 La Liga teams to end round of 16. Sevilla are out, not bad for La Liga. Yeah, Sevilla, I expected them to at least make Europa, but I'm very unfortunate the way they lost against Lens earlier. Ramos as well, brilliant pen.
I think their team like 16th or 17th in La Liga, so
Yeah, they're struggling. They're struggling this
they're
season.
struggling.
Yeah, but the European, you know how Sevilla works, right? The European, they have pedigree. Let's be honest, right? So I
They have
expected them
Europa
to.
League pedigree.
Yeah, it's still pedigree though. Like for Sevilla.
What I'm saying is like I definitely agree with you where you said that they have European pedigree, Europa League pedigree. But I think given their form this season, I think they carry a little bit too much experience. A little much too many old players in their team for my liking. I was actually watching the Sevilla Lens game today because I kind of wanted them to at least do something and go into Europa League, like you said. But yeah, Lens still got a result. I mean, Sevilla had to pay the price. I think this season they didn't really win even a single game in the Champions League, so that really says it all.
Oh my God, that's mad. That's how the fuck are they on 4 or 5 points then? Was it all Rose?
They have 2 points.
2 points, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. Right. Yeah. Any final thoughts on the game, Mo? Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts are the fact that I'm just disappointed Ancelotti decided to go with the big players.
Come on, man. Flip the script. We have heard enough of this. Something new.
I mean, that's the only thought I have. Like, what am I going to take away from this game? It's like,
Right,
oh man,
yeah.
we were bad defensively, bro. It's like there was no intensity to the game. You can't really blame everybody. If this was a game against City, you probably don't see the same mistakes. So,
Oh, that's raising the bar a bit too high. Too soon.
I mean, if it was a game against City, the team would be more committed and more applied. It's not to say that we'd keep a shutout, but I think it would be more of a match.
100%. But yeah, it's too far. An objective for me to consider because I still think our team needs to go through the gears a bit more.
That's a different question. Like, City is a team better than City? That's a different question. But the thing is, like, if it was a game against City, there would be more intensity and more, more pace to the game. Today it was like kind of slow, boring. It was kind of like pedestrian. But if it was a game against City, you would see what Real Madrid is truly about. Obviously, the question about whether City is better, Real Madrid is better, is a totally different question. City are the champions, so they deserve respect.
100%. Well, we just hope we won't face them in the round of 16 because they are group toppers as well. But yeah, man, I just hope we don't face them until semis or the final if we get there, hopefully. But big up every single one of you in the chat. Again, friendly reminder: smash the likes and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Big up to all our audio listeners as well. Big up to all of you guys who sent in feedback, negative, positive. It's all welcome here. The love that you guys have shown over the years is truly humbling. Like I always mention, without you guys, we just don't have enough commitment, motivation to come over here, even for dead rubbers like these. And yeah, man, react to it. Discuss our thoughts. What makes this podcast what it is? Like I've always said, the reason why it is what it is because it is a two-way street. We have a back and forth. We have a conversation. That's what makes this truly, a fans podcast. Unlike so many others. But yeah, man, big up every single one of you again. Show some love to our partners on Instagram, Real Madrid Committee. They run a brilliant fan page. Go check them out. Show some love to our content from Madrid as well. Sid and his team works tirelessly, to do fan cams, to do other side content, fun stuff, goals, kits, and a lot of stuff in the pipeline as well. Coming hopefully post January once we are back from the Super Copa de España in Saudi Arabia as well. Yeah, man. At this moment, we just look bright enough for me to have a lot of optimism, like what Mo was alluding to earlier. Nobody really expected us to be in this way of a smooth sail, going into midway December. But yeah, bigger tests are coming. far bigger tests are coming, and we should be ready for it. Physically, mentally, tactically. Carlo, I just hope even if this is your last year, you should pull something out of the bag and shut up guys like Farouk for once. Because if you don't, I repeat, right? If you don't, like, they'll still criticize you, but they'll still criticize you mentioning that, oh, he won the Champions League, but he was tactically inept. I would take that to the grave. I have no issues. But if he finds the ammo to slate you, man, after this year, maybe I wouldn't have enough in me to defend you, right? So this is your chance to redeem yourselves, once and for all. And yeah, people, until next time. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
See you later.